Stress may be an unavoidable part of our lives, but we can learn how to better manage it. So today we're going to talk about 7 simple, fun, and engaging techniques that will arm you to better handle the stress that you deal with on a daily basis. So let's jump in and have some fun. Do you want to achieve your goals, but anxiety is tripping you up? Like to keep those fun weekend plans, but depression has you counseling again? Hey, I'm Lori, dog mom, lover of nature, and hygge enthusiast. Positive psychology skills help me overcome chronic severe PTSD. If you're ready to learn how to overcome your anxiety and depression and rediscover happiness and purpose in life, then get your cozy on and let's get started. Let me encourage you today to sign up for our Facebook group. Here we're building a community of like-minded people who want to learn how to better handle depression, overcome their anxiety, or manage their stress. There's a link in the notes below where you can join. I'd also encourage you to sign up for our weekly newsletter. This is where you'll get additional information on topics we cover here on the podcast, as well as first opportunity to join workshops that come out. And speaking of workshops, we will have one on stress management coming out soon. So if you'd like early access, make sure to sign up for that newsletter. In my previous job with the Wellness and Resilience team, one of the responsibilities we had was to teach classes and provide information on a variety of topics. And one topic that came up consistently in pretty much every iteration we did was stress. Stress management, what caused stress, how to handle stress, all kinds of stuff about stress. And you would think after we did this 4, 5, 6 times a year that people would be like, okay, I'm done. No more stress classes. But it was actually the reverse. It was one of our highest attended classes, topics that were covered. If it had anything to do with stress, can pretty much guarantee it was going to be our top attended class. Why is that? Why is it that a topic that we covered so often, so many different ways, was still heavily attended? Because stress is something we deal with every day of our lives. And even if it's information you already know about stress, it often helps to be reminded of this so that you can handle it better. Or you're like, oh yeah, I forgot, or I fell off the wagon on this one, and it's a good reminder to get on board and get going again. So today I want to talk to you about some of the basics of stress and stress management. What is stress? What are some of the causes of stress? And what you can do about it. So there's 3 kinds of stress. There is good stress, and yes, I did say that. And like people are going, no, there's no such thing as good stress. It's all terrible. Actually, no, there is good stress. So for an example, this podcast, I have the stress of needing to make sure that it's recorded and uploaded in time for you guys to hear it. So that's a good source of stress. I know I need to get it done. So it gets me motivated to get up, do my study, do my prep, do my recording, editing, etc., and get it uploaded. I have a deadline. So it's that stress to motivate me to move forward. That's good stress. Then there's acute stress. So this is high levels of stress that you have in the moment. So this is really where your survival mechanisms are kicking into gear. It could be emotional survival, physical survival. So you could be, this could be like a hurricane, a tornado, a car accident, a major health event, like a heart attack that has you fighting for survival. It could be a major emotional event where you have like this huge fight with someone that you love, or where you're somewhere where you are feeling at risk or someone you love is at risk. So this is where you hear stories about people picking up a car off of somebody with their bare hands. This is a result of acute stress. So stress, high levels of stress in the moment, but then it passes and you move on. And then there's chronic stress. And this is what we're talking about, going to focus on today is chronic stress. And this is that long-term, dealing with it every single day or nearly every day stress. You're suppressing your emotions. You're not handling it well. It's something you're dealing with all of the time. So this is what we're meaning by chronic stress. Chronic stress can be extremely detrimental to your mental, emotional, and physical well-being. It begins to break you down and can cause a lot of diseases. In fact, in some recent studies they've done, they have found that 95 to 100% of major chronic diseases that we have today have a direct emotional component, directly linked to an emotional component. And that's just amazing. So, for instance, if you are harboring unforgiveness, It could directly link to things like liver disease or autoimmune disease. If you are overly critical of yourself, have a lot of negative self-talk, a very, you're hard on yourself for whatever reason, it can lead to autoimmune disease, which I find very interesting because if you have a lot of negative self-talk, you're hard on yourself, it turns into your body literally attacking itself through autoimmune disease. So there's a direct link between our chronic stress and how we handle it or don't to our physical and mental, emotional well-being. So it's very important to be able to get a handle on that, and that's what I want to try to help you with today. So what are some of the causes of this stress? And the reason I want to run through these is I'm hoping you can use this as kind of a mirror to reflect in your own life and see if maybe you're experiencing one of these or it could trigger thoughts for others. Because I am not going to cover all of them by any stretch of the imagination. There are literally hundreds. But to hit on some of the highest ones. So one that is triggering a lot of stress in America, at least, and I'm guessing around the world, is the future of our country, political stress, things of that nature. That's a really big one. Another one is emotional stress due to grieving. And this could be a loved one that passed away, or maybe a beloved pet, someone who means a lot to you that you lost. Going through that loss can cause a lot of stress. A serious health diagnosis. So maybe you had a heart attack, or you were diagnosed with cancer, or there could be other serious health issues that are causing a lot of stress. Financial problems, struggling to try to make ends meet for whatever reason. This is hard because this really hits it to your basic level of survival. Am I going to have food on the table? Am I going to have a roof over my head? This really hits at the core of trying to make it to the next day, right? So financial problems can be very stressful. Work stress. So you can have that person on the job that's driving you absolutely crazy, or the job itself can cause a lot of stress, can be really difficult or cause anxiety, whatever that may be. You could have some emotional stress coupled with fatigue. When you're talking about work stress, another step of that would be for like our first responders. So police officers, EMTs, doctors, surgeons, nurses who are spending hours working, which in itself is fatiguing, but then they're doing it in an emotionally taxing environment. So this could be another source of chronic stress. I'm feeling socially isolated. And then on the flip side of that is family-related stress. So on one side, you're by yourself. The other side, you have family who's driving you crazy. Both of those can be very stressful for different reasons. A war and violence, particularly for military or first responders, but you could also just be a person caught up in the middle of this. Relationship problems. So especially when it comes to abusive relationships or in cases of divorce, very stressful. But to caveat onto that, they have found that not just in divorce, but anytime you have a really close relationship, so like that best friend or someone who means a lot to you, and that relationship breaks apart, it can cause almost the same level of stress as a divorce does. So anytime you have relationship problems, whatever that relationship may be, it's going to cause chronic stress. Major life changes, and these can be good changes. It doesn't have to be bad. It still causes stress. So for myself, and just recently, I left working for the Army after 16 years and came home and started a podcast. This is something I've wanted to do for a long time. It's a dream come true. I love this. It's like the best job ever. But it was still a major life change. And I was in the process of trying to get all this stood up, was dealing with a lot of stress and having some problems. And I talked to my counselor and he's like, "Hello, Lori, you just went through a major life change. Take some space and let yourself process this." And when I did, it made a huge difference. Imprisonment, both of the person in prison and the family connected to them. And another major source of stress is internal stress. So this could be like your mindset, including overly rigid thinking, negative self-talk, pessimism, perfectionism. And that one hits very close home for me because I'm a recovering perfectionist, something where I'm constantly trying to change that mindset. And so all of these can be causes. There are hundreds of other causes, but these can get you at least started thinking about that and if this is present in your own life. So now what? You figured out that chronic stress is bad and you have a source of it in your life. So now what do you do? So I want to give you some techniques today for how to handle stress. Some of them you can do right now. If you need to pause this podcast, you have my full permission. Not that you needed it, but you have permission to pause this thing and do what you need to do to get your stress levels down. Other ones are things that you can do that may take a little more time, but you can still incorporate them in your life and they'll make a big difference. So the first one I want to talk to you is breathing. Now, there are literally hundreds of different breathing techniques out there. There are some that are focused on handling specific issues in your body, your mind, whatever it may be. There are several that are specifically targeted at handling stress. And today I'm just going to talk to you about one, just one, to give you a good example. And it's the one I found the easiest to implement, and that is 3-6 breathing. So with 3-6 breathing, you breathe in deeply, diaphragmically, which means your abdominals are expanding before your chest does. You breathe in deeply for 3 seconds, and then you immediately breathe out for 6. There's no holding with this one. So you breathe in for 3, out for 6. And you do that a couple times, and then you breathe normally. And then you once again breathe deeply for 3, breathe out for 6, do that a couple more times. And you keep up that routine. We're doing a couple times, breathe normal, a couple times, until you start feeling the stress leaving your body. So maybe you hold your stress in your shoulders, or maybe you get this knot in your stomach, or maybe you get this pain right behind your sternum. The last two are ones I deal with. So when you're breathing in and you're breathing out and you stop, breathe regularly, do it again, you want to see those symptoms start to go away. So the pain is lessening, that knot is loosening, etc. And then once you reach a point where you're a little more relaxed and more normal, then you can go about your day. Another one is music. So music can really speak to the soul. And this could be a fun one. So you could get a fun song that you just jam out to and you're dancing in your living room or whatever it may be. Something you could sing along with at the top of your lungs. No, not literally the top. Well, you can sing at the top of your lungs. But music can be such a phenomenal way of helping you deal with stress. It could be that song that you really just worship with, or that just brings back so many happy memories. Or maybe it's one that has you crying and it's helping you process some of those emotions. Music is a great way. And on top of that, singing along with the song or on your own, whatever it may be. Singing can also be a great way to deal with stress. And part of this twofold. One is the joy of singing itself. But if you're singing at full volume, it actually activates the vagus nerve, which is super cool. So the vagus nerve is located behind your ears under the mastoid bone, and it feeds every single major organ in your body. And when you activate the vagus nerve, like through singing, it feeds and nourishes all those major organs, which is a fantastic way to deal with stress. So see, music has 2 great big huge benefits. Another way to handle stress is to connect with others. So I know sometimes when you're in the middle of all the stress and anxiety, you can't really deal with people. It could be too much. I've been there, done that, so I get it. But we are social creatures. And so being able to connect with someone can actually help you deal with that stress and help you overcome it. And maybe it's just one person. Maybe just send them a text or connect with them on chat or Zoom. The best way to do it is actually spend time with them in person physically. But I understand that's not always possible. But being able to connect with someone can help relieve your stress. For one thing, and get you out of your head for a little bit. So maybe instead of talking about yourself and your problems, you're asking them to share what's going on in their lives. And maybe you are talking about your problems. It's a great way to help you process it, but connecting with those around you. Another fun way to handle your stress is through humor. So when you're under a lot of stress, your body does not know the difference between running from a saber-toothed tiger or dealing with a pile of paperwork. It's all the same to your body. Your body can't differentiate. But it does know that you don't have time to laugh. So if you're running from a tiger, you're not laughing. You're 100% focused on getting out of there. So when you do laugh, it's telling your brain that, hey, we're not in as much danger anymore. So we can lower those cortisol levels. We can decrease that stress because we have time and space to laugh. So a merry heart is good medicine, right? So let's laugh and get some humor in our life. So this may be calling up a friend or connecting with someone who is great at cracking jokes and getting you laughing. Maybe it's a funny cat video that you're watching that has you rolling on the floor, or some funny memes, whatever gets you giggling and laughing and having fun to decrease that stress level. It doesn't have to be a lot. It could just be a little 2-minute thing. Or maybe you have time to sit down and listen to a whole comedy routine. Whichever it is, get some humor in your life and it will help you out. Another one is movement. Now, this can be really quick right now, or it could be more of a lifestyle. But if you're stressed out, maybe take a couple minutes and stretch. Do some bending, or you're moving those limbs and limbering them up a little bit, stretching those muscles. Maybe you're doing jumping jacks for a couple minutes. Or you can go on a walk. So it could be something where you're in a stressful conversation. You need some time and space to process that. So you take a step away and go for a 20-minute walk. Maybe you're looking at getting those endorphins increased. So you're exercising and getting that happening in 20, 30 minutes, getting your cardio going, and that can really help you. Maybe it's a way to externalize. Instead of keeping the stress in, you're running it out, or you're boxing it out, or you're kickboxing it out. However that is, exercise is a great way to help you handle stress. Another one that I actually mentioned in our last podcast is gratitude journaling. And I just want to drop it in here because it's a great way to help you. Gratitude is such a great way to handle stress and anxiety because it gets your mind focused on something else. Not to ignore the bad things, but to include the good things as well. And just focus on those for a little bit. And as you think about it, you can feel the stress leaving your body. Another really big thing I want to talk to you about is self-care. And I was talking to a friend about this the other day, and she said that self-care could actually be called self-maintenance because it's very similar concept as maintaining just about anything in your life. Maintaining your car, you're going to put gas in it and make sure the oil is topped off or changed, and your air filters, etc., before you hit the road to take a road trip. You're going to make sure you're changing the filters in your heater in your house to make sure that it keeps running. Your house gets an occasional paint job, a roof replacement, or just tacking down shingles. Maybe you need to mow the grass and maintain your yard. In that same sense, you as an individual need to take care of yourself. It is so critically important because if you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to be there to take care of the people who rely on you. So one good picture of this is when you're flying in a plane and they tell you, if we lose cabin pressure, you're going to have oxygen mask fall from the top. Put one on yourself before you put them on children, elderly, or whoever sitting next to you. First time I heard that, I'm like, well, that's kind of selfish. But then I realized if I don't put the mask on myself, I'm going to pass out. And if I pass out, I can't help anybody. So the same thing holds true for you. If you do not take care of yourself, you will not be able to take care of others. It's so important you take care of yourself, especially if you have people that rely on you very heavily. That makes it even more critical that you're taking care of yourself. So what can you do to help you handle stress? Breathe. Just a couple minutes. Take some time, and just breathe. Enjoy that song. Have fun, worship, connect, cry, whatever you want to do. Sing, and get that vagus nerve activated and nourishing you. Connect with others. Make sure that you have friends and a social network and support that's helping you through this. Humor, get some laughing going, have some fun, find something funny that gets you tickled and giggling. Get some movement going, relieve some of that stress. Grab a journal, write down something you're thankful for, and take care of yourself. Please take some time to take care of yourself. And if you do that, maybe just 1-2 of these things. Might not be able to do all of them, but just 1 or 2. You do that, and you'll start noticing a difference in your stress levels. Hey, my friend, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, would you please take 30 seconds and share it with someone you know who may be struggling with depression and anxiety? Also, would you please leave a quick review for the show? Knowing how this podcast is helping you fills my heart with so much joy, and it motivates me for future episodes. For now, it's time for Sam and I to head outside to enjoy some sunshine and fresh air. We'll see you back here on Tuesdays and Thursdays for more great episodes.